Hi guys, welcome to your Understanding 2 lesson for telling time. Today in this video lesson we're going to look at how to tell time to 5-minute intervals. So today we're going to focus on two hands of an analog clock, the minute and the hour hand. We're not going to worry too much about the seconds hand today, but we will remember that it's still there. So like we've already looked at, we have our minutes hand, which is longer and skinnier, and that points through the numbers as it goes around the circle. And then we also have our hour hand, which is a bit shorter and sometimes a little bit thicker, and that points to our numbers, not through them so much. So as a quick recap, last lesson we looked at how when the minute hand starts at the 0 and it has gone all the way around for 60 minutes, that has been 1 hour, and that is then when our hour hand starts to be able to move around the circle. So it takes 60 minutes, a whole lap of our minutes hand, before our hour hand can move. Okay, so in this lesson we're going to look at what we need to know to be able to read the time. Now you should know already the difference between the hour hand and the minute hand. Whenever our minute hand's pointing to the top, we know that it is an o'clock time. Whenever it's pointing up towards the 12, it's o'clock. So for example, the time on the clock now would be 9 o'clock. We also know that when the minute hand is pointing down towards the 6, it has gone halfway around the clock, so it is half past the hour. So in this example, the time shows half past 9 o'clock. But what if our minute hand is at a stage where it's not pointing at the 12 and it's not pointing at the 6, it's not an o'clock time or a half past time, it might be on one of these numbers in between. We need to be able to read the clock at all times throughout the day and through all times as it's rotating around. So, for example, if I had this time on my clock here, the hour hand pointing to the 9 and the minute hand pointing to the 4, I need to be able to know how to read that. The easiest way to remember to read the time is to start with the hour hand first and then to look at the minute hand. So if I look at my hour hand first, I can see, because it's the shorter, more thicker hand, it is pointing to the 9. So I write the hour first, 9. Then on digital time we would see 2 dots in the middle, and that's just there to represent breaking up the hour and the minute. Now after the dots I would need to write the minutes. If I look at my minutes hand here, you can see it's pointing to the 4. Now some people might think you would write that time then as 9:04. But that's not really how our minutes work, because we have 60 minutes in a whole hour, so we wouldn't write 9:04 because our minute hand isn't actually pointing at this 4. It's pointing the whole way through to these little minutes behind it. But sometimes they're not always on our clocks, so we have to know where each of those 60 minutes actually falls on our clock. So rather than 9:04, we would write the hour first, which is still pointing to the 9. And then for the minute hand, we have to see what minute it is pointing through to, not the hour number, the minute number behind it. And you can see there it is pointing all the way through to 20. So the hour would be 9 and the minute would be 20. This time on our clock is showing 9:20. Let's have a look at a couple more examples. Okay, so here on this clock we can see the time is 9:20 again. And sometimes it can get a little bit confusing for people that they forget what numbers they're looking at and whether they're working with the hours or with the minutes. So what we need to remember first of all is that the hour hand, this short one, points to the numbers, and that's the hours because our shorthand's working with the hours. The minute hand points through the numbers to the outside of the clock because it is focusing on all these little minutes around the edges. So, how we can remember what number means what minute is by practicing the trick of counting up in fives. Because for each number that we go around in the clock, 5 minutes go past. You might be able to even count it with me here nice and small. You can see there's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes there. See how each little line means the next minute? 4 minutes. 5 minutes. So that first bigger line there is 5 minutes. So I'm going to write it in there so I don't forget. And if we count around even further, we can see 6, 7, 8, 9. The next line, where the 2 is actually 10 minutes. Let's keep going. 11, 12, 13, 14. We've got to the 3 and it is 15 minutes. 16, 17, 18, 19. The 4 is 20 minutes. Keep counting. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 minutes at the 5. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 minutes down the bottom at the 6, and we know that that's 30 minutes in half an hour. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Alright, I'm going to do the rest nice and quickly, and you see if you can guess it before I get there. Count along with me. 40 minutes at the 8. 45 minutes at the 9. 50 minutes at the 10. 55 minutes at the 11, and if I count on from there, 56, 57, 58, 59. Oh, I'm back at the top, and it's not just 0 where we started, it's actually, we've made a whole lap, so we've done 60 minutes. If you have a look and count along with me, you can see that each of our numbers goes up in 5s when they're representing the minute value. So if we start on the 12 and we count round, 1 is 5, 10, 15, 20. I think you could count up in your 5s with me as well and use your hands if you need some help. 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, back up to the top at 12, which is 60 minutes, which we know is 1 hour. Let's see if we can use this and try and remember it to help us tell the time with some more examples. Okay, so here I have an example of a new clock. Now this time our hands aren't into different colours to help us, but if we look closely at the hands we can figure out which one they are. The hour hand is a bit shorter and thicker and points towards the numbers, and the minute hand is a little bit longer and a little bit skinnier and points through the numbers. See how it's pointing through that 2 to the minutes at the back there. So just like before, when we write the time, we're going to have an hour first, then 2 dots to separate it, and then the minutes afterwards. So let's look at the hour hand first. It's pointing pretty closely to the 8. It's almost a little bit after it, but it would be 8 for the hours. And now we need to look at the minutes. Now remember, we're not looking at these big hour numbers, we're trying to figure out the minute, all the little dashes, the minutes on the outer side. Now, instead of it being 8-2, we count up in the minutes. So you could count around with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Our minute hand has gone 10 minutes around, and it's at the 2. And from the activity we just did before, we know that the 2 is 10, so the time on this clock is 8:10. Alright, let's take a look at this second example. Just like before, we need to figure out what our hour is first and then what our minutes are. So we're going to find our hour hand. There it is, the shorter, more thicker one. And have a look. It's pointing towards up here in between the 11 and 12. So it's not at the 12 just yet. So it's 11 for the hour. And now we need to figure out the minutes. So our minute hand is pointing down here towards the 5. So we don't say it's 5 minutes. We know that there's lots of little minutes around there. We need to figure out where that would be for the 5. So instead of counting around every single minute, we could do it that way. Or we could use our strategy of counting around in 5s. So starting at the 12, we've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. The 5 on our clock represents 25 minutes. So this time would be 11:25. Okay, let's have a look at one more example now, and we're going to do it a bit quicker. We know that our hour has to come first and then our minutes. So we find our hour hand, the thicker, shorter one. There it is pointing towards the 4, so the hour is 4. And then we need to find our minutes hand. Here it is pointing towards the 9. Oh, so would I just write that it's 9 minutes? No, that would be wrong because it's not 9 minutes. We've got to look through and find where the minutes is behind. We go up each number in 5 so we can count around. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. The 9 represents 45 minutes. There we go, 45 for our minutes. So this time on the clock is 4:45. 4 hours and 45 minutes. Okay, so don't forget the shorter, thicker hand, the hour hand points towards the numbers on our clock. So it reads the hour, and our longer, skinnier minute hand points through the numbers. So it is looking at our 60 minutes on the back. We need to read our hour hand first, then our minutes hands, and that will make us able to read the time. Great job today, guys. Well done.